Okay, guys, guess what? We're coming to the end of the chapter 3, and we're going to do our very last set of notes for the chapter. So, Math 6, we're going to talk about the worst case scenario. What if both numbers in a division problem have decimals? So, we're going to divide decimals by decimals. Okay, so I'm going to kind of take it like I did in lesson 3-7. We're going to just follow a problem and do steps, but we're going to have to do one extra step we didn't have to do when we divided by a whole number. Okay, so let's do this problem here. Let's do 54 and 4/10, and we want to divide it by 1 7/10. Okay, so step 1, we're going to rewrite the problem using the division house symbol. Okay, rewrite the problem using the division house symbol. So that will look like this. 1.7 dividing into the 54.4. So remember, the dividend is the guy that's going to end when we do the division. So he's either in front of the division symbol or he's inside the division house. Now here comes the thing that we didn't have to worry about before. And I'm going to have to yell at you a little bit. You cannot, so big, huge, capital, box it, make it very strong, divide by decimals. That means if your divisor is a decimal, we're going to have to get rid of it somehow. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to multiply. So we're going to have to get rid of that decimal. We can't just genie poof it away, right? We have to mathematically do something to make the decimal disappear out of 1.7. So what we could do is we could shove it to the right. So shoving isn't a mathematical operation. So let's use the idea of multiplying. So we're going to multiply the divisor, that's the guy in charge, by the smallest power of 10. So that could be 10, it could be 100, it could be 1,000. It depends on how far you need to move the decimal point, okay? So we're going to multiply the divisor by the smallest power of 10. That moves the decimal point to the right, creating a whole number divisor. Oh, I put in an extra letter there that doesn't need to be there. Let's divisor. Oops. Sorry about that, divisor. Okay. Now, I'm going to give you a little trick. You ready for the trick? Here's the trick. How many digits came after the decimal point in the divisor? 1 digit. What does that tell me I'm going to multiply by? The power of 10 with 1 0. So we're going to multiply by 10 in this particular case. That's how we're going to get this guy to go, okay? Now, here's the deal. I can't just multiply the divisor by something and that's it. I have to treat all the numbers the same. So the second component here is You're going to multiply the dividend. So that's the guy under the division house, by the same power of 10 as the divisor. Fair is fair. Oh, I keep doing that because I'm writing division. That's my problem. I keep wanting to write division instead of divisor. There we go. So again, I'm going to just say it out loud. Fair is fair. Got to treat everybody the same. Okay, so I'm going to redo that problem. So we've got 1.7, and I'm going to divide it into 54.4. So remember what I said. I have one digit after the decimal point, so I'm going to actually multiply by 10. Each of these are going to get multiplied by 10. And you guys should have learned that when you multiply by 10, all it does, so I'm going to show this in 3 steps, is shift the decimal point right 1 spot. When I multiply by 10, if I multiply by 100, it has 2 zeros, I'd have to move it 2 places. So I'm only going to move it as little as I need to so that I end up with a whole number. So I moved it 1, I moved it 1. So now you have a new problem. And the new problem is 17 dividing into 544. So this is the problem you get to solve. So notice what we're doing. We're creating a whole number divisor. So now we're basically following what we did in lesson 3-7. Okay? Once you've moved, then we go ahead and we continue the steps. So the third step is going to be bring the decimal point. I'm going to have to move here a little bit, sorry. Bring the decimal point from the new dividend straight up into the quotient. Okay, and so that would look like, here's your new decimal point, so it's going to come straight up like that. Okay, and then the last thing is you're going to just go ahead and start dividing. Start dividing. Okay. So now on this one, I'm going to do on my next screen. Okay, so just to address that issue. Some of you, for some reason, because of the way that this page is laid out here, think you need to turn your composition notebook sideways to take notes. No, just keep it straight up, and you're going to not turn it and write across the lines instead of on the lines. That's kind of funky. Okay, I'm going to go to the next screen because I want to take some room to do this. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to just practice division. Now for me, I'm still on my first page of my notes, but I've run out of room on my screen. Oops, that's not what I want. Okay, so let me get to change to black, and then let's get rid of this guy. So the directions are just going to ask us to divide. So let's go ahead and take that problem where we had the 1.7, we're dividing it into 54.4, and then we're going to multiply by 10, so that's really what we're doing. We're going to do the same thing to this guy, so we're going to multiply by 10, it's going to move it over, and then that gives me 17 dividing into 544. I'm going to bring my decimal point straight up into my answer. Okay. And then I start dividing. 17 goes into 54. I think it's 3. So I get 21. Yeah, it's 51. So we're going to put a 3. So that went into 54. So it's over the 4 that I'm going to put my guess of 3. So that's going to give me 51. And when I subtract, I get a difference of 3. And then I'm going to go ahead and bring down the next digit. And 17, oh, I know that's this one. 17 goes into 34 twice. I've seen it so many times, I've memorized it. So we get 34, and we subtract, we get a difference of 0. So the answer is 32. So we ended up starting with decimals in our problem, but then, oops, not 3, 2. But then we ended up eliminating all the decimals. They just all kind of went away. But that's not always going to happen. So let's start with another problem. We have 2 and 64 hundredths divided by 6 tenths. So again, we're going to rewrite it with the divisor out in front and then the dividend under the division house. And now I need that 0.6 to become 6. So to move the decimal point ones to the right, I have to multiply by 10. Now fair is fair, so I do it to the dividend as well. So now my problem is 6 dividing into 26.4. So we're going to bring that decimal point straight up into the quotient. So straight up right there. And then we're going to divide like there's no decimals anymore. Okay? So let's see. 6 goes into 26. Goes in 4 times. I put that over the 6. 6 times 4 is 24. We subtract. We get a 2. Bring down the next digit. 6 goes into 24 4 times, which is 24, and we have no remainder. So the answer is 4 and 4 tenths. Number 3. Ooh, this is ugly. Let's see what we got here. 63 10,000ths divided by, oh, this is ugly too, 7 thousandths. So we rearrange it. 0.0063. Now think about this. I don't just move the decimal point one spot, which would be 10 or 10, or 2 spots, which would be 2 zeros or 100, but I have to move it 3 spots. So I'm actually multiplying by 1,000. So I'm going to do the same thing, 1, 2, 3, multiplied by 1,000. So this now becomes, oops, let me go back to black. 7 dividing into 0. No, actually, I don't need a 0. It's 6 and then a 0.3. Just like, wow, look at how easy that problem is now. So I'm going to bring that decimal point straight up into the quotient, since I'm multiplying by a whole number. And then 7 can't divide into 6, so I have a 0 there. But 7 goes into 63 9 times evenly. So it terminates, and my answer is 9 tenths. Okay? All right, let's do another one. Number 4 right here. I'm going to kind of put it in its place. So I have 9 thousandths, and I want to divide it by 18 hundredths. So the 0.18 comes in front, and then we have 0.009 underneath. So on this one, I need to move the decimal point not once, which would be times 10, but twice, which would be times 100. So the number of places I move it is the number of zeros in my power of 10. So then I have to do the same exact movement, only 2 movements, multiply by 100. We don't move it to the end of the number. We only move it the same number of places that we did in the divisor. All right, so now let's rewrite this problem. Now we have the whole number 18, and that's going to divide into 9 tenths. So we bring the decimal point straight up into the quotient, and let's see what we get. 18 can't go into 0. Ooh. 18 can't go into 9, so I'm having to put zeros into my quotient before I can actually annex a 0. So that's what I do when I still have numbers and I haven't done my division yet. I annex the 0. So 18 goes into 90. So I don't know, so I'm going to multiply over here. So I'm going to try 5. And the reason why I tried 5 is because I know 8 times 5 gives me a number that ends in 0. So that's where my brain went to immediately. And wow, good thing it went there because that's exactly the answer I needed. So I get no remainder. And my answer is 5 hundredths. Okay, let's do one more. Let's do it right here. And we're going to have 6 and 24 hundredths, and we want to divide by 200. Well, that's pretty cool. We already got a whole number. So this is like what we did on lesson 3-7. So because my divisor is a whole number, I'm just going to go ahead and bring my decimal point straight up. We didn't have to move the decimal point at all. That's weird. Okay, so let's see. 200 goes into 6, no times. 200 goes into 62, no times. 200 goes into 624, and I think it's going to be 3 times. Yeah. So we put in our 3, and we get 600. We subtract. Our difference is smaller than 200, so we're good. So then we have permission to annex a 0. So we bring it down, and now we have 240. Well, how many times can 200 go into 240? Only one time. So we get 200. We subtract. Difference is 40. We're going to have to annex another 0 because we can't have more than one decimal in an answer. And we bring that down, and now 200 goes into 400. 2 goes into 4 twice. So we're going to get a 2 up there. And then we get 200 times 2 is 400, and we get a difference of 0. So this answer is a whopping 312 10,000ths. And there you go, guys. Good luck with this. See you tomorrow. Bye.